Hey everyone, I'm your coach 11 from 11 Kilo Fitness and FitandLeanDad.com. On today's video, I'm going to talk to you about 3 easy strategies to lose stubborn belly fat faster. So for the people that have a last bit of fat to lose, that want to show their abs or want to get towards that really kind of ripped physique, okay, and I can probably pretty much say that you can carry it around the 4 areas that I'm going to go through, either in one or a combination of their 4 areas. So these 4 areas are the thighs, the love handles, your stomach, your belly, kind of your stomach, or your hips. Okay. Now, for some people, it can be a combination of all 4. It can be 2 things, but these are the majority of places where you are going to lose the last amount of fat. And the reason being is because this kind of fat is called visceral fat. Okay, you've got 2 types of fat. You've got visceral and subcutaneous body fat. The subcutaneous is the one that's around your organs, and the visceral body fat is around your kind of skin, and that tends to be thicker and heavier. And one of the reasons why you tend to struggle to lose that is because they're very they have low blood supply, so the blood struggles to get around to that area, and also you tend to have what they call, they're very reactive to insulin. So you see a lot of the guys that have like big massive bellies, but they're actually very thin all over. That can kind of tells you that most likely these people are very insulin insensitive. Okay. Another thing to bear in mind that you got two types of somebody's phone going off. Oh, that's not mine. You got another two types of fat. You got the kind of the tissue of the fat. You got brown adipose tissue and then white adipose tissue. Okay, they're called brown fat and white fat. So if you guys any of you guys have read the 4-hour body by Tim Ferriss, you know exactly what I mean. And the brown adipose tissue is the one that's really very difficult to get rid of and need to use advanced strategies, which we're going to talk about. Okay, so the subcutaneous body fat sits under the skin, visceral fat sits under your organs. Okay, just so that we're clear. Right, so this fat will either make you top heavy or bottom heavy, if you know what I mean. Alright, so we're going to talk about 3 strategies, so make sure that you guys have got a pen and paper so that you can take this down, or use your iPad or iPhone, anything basically to take notes on. Okay, so now, to lose fat, you understand that you got to be in a calorie deficit, okay? But it's not, the leaner that you get, the more difficult it tends to be to actually lose that last bit of body fat, those the kind of the visceral body fat, okay? The ones that you have low blood supply and kind of reactive to insulin, okay? And so you need to use advanced strategies. Now, if it was all about being a calorie deficit, then somebody who's like 100 pounds overweight would just continue to be in a calorie deficit, and then you'll become like 0 body fat. But unfortunately, that's not the way it works, simply because the body fat is very, very important to the body, and it's it's used for energy. So that's why if you kind of go into crash dieting and stuff, then the body would just put a halt onto fat burning, because it basically wants to keep that fat for warmth and energy. It starts to panic. Okay, so like I said, fat loss is not a one-stop process. Then the leaner you get, the more advanced strategies you've got to use. All right, so the first one is to stop crash dieting. Okay, right, crash dieting is whereby you basically you cut your calories altogether, and then you go on, like I say, today you go on a diet, say the Rosemary Conley diet, whatever it's called. Tomorrow you go on intermittent fasting. The next day you go on something else. And then you think, oh, sugar, this is not working now. I'll go on to another diet. Okay, this is what I mean by crash dieting. You cut out the calories too much, and what will happen is you'll start to, your metabolism will start to slow down. Okay, and then the body will start to get into a panic mode. Because when you cut too many calories, then the body will start to kind of get into a panic mode, and then when you start giving it more calories, then it's going to think, okay, that's nice. Okay, so the calories going up and down like a yo-yo. Okay, without any kind of without you actually tracking it. And this is why you see a lot of the fitness models and a lot of the guys who step on stage, that when they cut down the calories to the bare minimum, okay, and what happens is they put more and more, they have to put more and more stress on the body, okay, because the body is already stressed and the low in calories, you have to, it sounds counterproductive, you have to put it under even more stress, okay, to get rid of that last bit of body fat. So that's why when these guys typically go after the show, then they might pig out, for the lack of a better word, the first day or two after the show, but then they start to bring up their calories slowly, and this is called reverse dieting. So if somebody was on 4,000 calories maintenance, okay, and they've gone down to 1,500 to try and shoot down to 4,000 to 4% body fat, they're not going to suddenly go down to 4,000 calories. Again, because the body is just going to go, hello, thank you very much, I'll just store all these calories because you've really annoyed me back a few months ago. So, or rather, during all these months running up to the contest, then I'm going to hold on to this body fat, okay? So you slowly bring up these calories and get the body to the metabolism to catch up again. Okay, so the next one is... all right, let's put another one on there. Actually, let's make it a bonus and make it 4. Lipolysis, and I'll talk about that in a second. Okay, second one is lipid oxidation. Okay, this is basically where the... actually, no, let's talk about lipolysis because I missed that off. So lipolysis is the process of actually burning fat, where the fat has to go through various tissues and various cycles to actually to be able to go onto the next process, which is the lipid oxidation. Okay, so when the fat goes through the bloodstream, okay, and kind of interact and it has a good blood flow, there's a good chance that with kind of the right interaction with the hormones, there's a good chance that that fat will be released. However, if you've got poor blood supply, that's when that fat will go back and be stored in that same area. Okay. Now, if it manages to go through the bloodstream, then the last process is lipid oxidation, where it's actually going to be released as energy. All right. Now, where are we? Advanced. We'll talk about advanced plans in a second, but basically, another reason why that fat is really difficult to get rid of is because you've got 2 fat receptors that are alpha and let's use let's use black. We've got alpha and beta cells. Oops, fat receptors. Okay, so we've got alpha and beta cell fat cell receptors. Okay, now the alpha receptors tend to slow down the release of that stubborn fat, and the beta receptors tend to increase the speed, the release of that body fat. Now, those areas that I talked about earlier are actually low in beta receptor. Are high in beta and alpha receptors and low in beta receptors, which is why it actually takes a long time for it to be released. Okay, so again, when you start doing crash dieting, then you get impaired thyroid function, which is the crashing of your metabolism. You've got adaptive metabolism, where your metabolism will actually burn less fat with the amount of food that you're giving it, simply because it needs to conserve energy. Okay, again, if you've got high amounts of estrogen, okay, then you're going to have high, the alpha cells are going to be higher. All right. Okay, so another thing that happens when you do the crash dieting, we talked about interaction of hormones before, and I've mentioned it with previous videos. What happens when you start crash dieting, your hormones start to kind of play havoc, so to speak, with your mind. So your kind of the hunger hormone gradients start to go up. Leptin levels, leptin hormone, which is a master hormone that regulates all the hormones, will go down. Okay, and when leptin goes down, then everything else starts to slow down as well, because leptin controls your thyroid, your T3 and T4. Okay, which is the ones that, and there's another one which is TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. So all these hormones start to slow down. Okay, the thyroid starts to slow down, then what happens is your fat burning will start to stop. And another thing that also happens is your testosterone levels start to plummet, and cortisol, which is your stress hormone, starts to go up. Again, you've got no serotonin, and you've got no, you'll be lower in serotonin, which is your feel-good hormone. So you know when you go down to the gym and you kind of get after a workout you feel really good, that's called serotonin. Okay. All right. So so let's talk about let's use advanced. Let's talk about advanced cyclical diet plans. Okay. Now, the key to losing fat is keeping the thyroid in check. Okay, so that means that you don't want the thyroid to slow down too much, and then you don't want the hormones to sort of to get too much of the cortisol. Okay, too much cortisol is not good for the body because it's going to release insulin. When insulin is released, it's going to be very difficult to lose body fat, simply because it's your blood sugar is always rising. Okay, when your blood sugar is always rising, insulin floating around the bloodstream becomes very, very difficult. Okay. All right. So three types of advanced dieting plans. Let me just wipe that off. Okay. So if I go here, so advanced. So number one is called the MATADOR diet. Okay. Now the MATADOR diet is basically whereby, and I'll tell you the name, and I'll tell you the name of it in a second. All right. But it's whereby you actually do a kind of a cyclical. Let's put cyclical here, just to make it easier for you guys, so you understand it more. Okay, so advanced cyclical dieting plan. Okay, so the MATADOR diet is basically whereby you cut your calories, aggressive cut. Okay. Calorie restriction between 30 to 35% below maintenance. Okay, so you cut calories between 30-35% below maintenance for 2 weeks. That's why I don't like writing lower on the board, because I can't get the pen upright, and when you don't get the pen upright, it doesn't tend to write properly. So I'm going to use another color to make it easy to see. You guys can see it. Whoops. Okay. So you cut your aggressive calorie restriction between 30-35% below maintenance, okay, for around about 2 weeks, and then you start to go up, and then okay, so aggressive calorie restriction, 30-35% below maintenance for 2 weeks, and then you go back to maintenance calories for 2 weeks. So if you're on 3,000 calorie diet maintenance, then you go to was it 6-9? You go to about 2,100 calories. Okay, so you go to about 2,100 calories. You cut the calories to 2,100 for 2 weeks, and then you go up to 3,000 calories again. All right, just checking. And number 2 is carb cycling. Okay, so carb cycling involves a kind of increasing the, so basically involves the increase or decrease of calories on different days, all right, to actually try and increase the insulin sensitivity with your body. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to cut the calories altogether. Okay, it just simply means that you actually get the body to use a different method of fuel rather than just keep relying on sugars all the time. So we can have a high day, so we can have a high carb day, low carb day, and a 0 carb day. Okay, so depending on how many carbs that you have, say you'll have 300 grams, so 150 grams and 0 grams. Okay, so it's nearly impossible to get 0 grams of carbs from any of the foods unless you go to protein only. So what I mean by 0 carbs is that you have 0 starchy carbs. Okay, so no fruit, no rice, no pasta, no potatoes. Okay, purely vegetables. All right. Now this will again, the whole reason behind this is to actually increase your insulin sensitivity and allow the body to, when you're insulin sensitive, then the more a bigger portion of the insulin, kind of the carbs, will go towards your muscle building, okay, or rather towards your muscles to recover or build muscle, rather than going towards your liver and fat stores. All right. And third and final one is intermittent fasting. IF. All right, now intermittent fasting is not for everyone. I don't recommend or recommend it. It really depends on the individual and whether you like it or not. I've tried it before personally, where I've done, there are different plans. You got the 16-8, you got the 24, you got the warrior diet, you got every other day fasting, you got the fasting 1 day a week. So it really depends what your preference is. And the most important thing with any kind of diet is to be able to stick to it. So if you're going to be doing intermittent fasting, then stick with intermittent fasting. If you're able to stick with intermittent fasting, then you're going to achieve faster results than going and using different strategies. Okay, so I've given you 3 different strategies here that you can use. But yeah, intermittent fasting is not really for everyone. I've tried it before and it was okay at the beginning, but then I got fed up of just like not being able to eat. Basically, I'm one of these people that likes to eat, likes to have structure to their day. But you know, it came to a time whereby I was getting more stressed by not being able to eat with everyone than actually wasn't doing me any good, and I was feeling kind of unhappy, so I stopped doing it. Again, so it really depends on you. That's all I can say. Alright guys, so I hope this video was helpful for you. If you like this video, then hit the like button, share it with your friends, family, co-workers if you think this will help them, and leave me a comment, let me know what videos we want to do next, and we'll speak again soon. Bye for now.